Hello, dear friends. What a blessing to be with you today. Here we are for another study of one of the articles of the Spiritist magazine. Book studies are another day, right? Welcome. Here we are on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the teachings of the Spiritist magazine. As always, we remind everybody that you can go to spiritistmagazine.org. You're going to find the new issue, the link to the PDF, the link to the app, contact forms, the link to the Facebook page, a donation button, everything you need, spiritistmagazine.org. Always encourage everyone to visit and use those resources. Remember, nowhere else in the world can find such high quality spiritist uplifting messages free of charge to all of us. And today we're going to spend some time with Andrea Louise. Today's article is from issue 58, which is, I'm going to put it on the screen so everybody who joins later can see. So that's the title of the article we're going to study today. It's titled Just a Moment by Andrea Louise through the mediumship of Francisco Candido Xavier. And here we have, I'm going to share with you my screen. And if you were to go to spiritistmagazine.org and download the PDF version of the magazine, that's what you would see. That is the PDF version as it shows on my computer, of course, but you can download it to a tablet, you can download it to your PC or Mac. You can download, as I said, you can read it on your phone through the app. So many resources, and that's the teachings we're going to study today. And that's the newest issue of the magazine, issue 58, year 14 years, bringing us the consolation that God grants us each and every day. And this is the cover of the magazine, Time to Heal with Chico Xavier. Isn't that a blessing? Last week we read a message from Euripedes Barsanulfo, also psychographed by Francisco Candido Xavier. And that message was about the smallest things we can do and how we harvest much more than we sow when we are good and we are charitable and we are kind to one another. And if you haven't watched these on sequence, you don't have to. You just have to go to our YouTube pages and find the playlists, and the playlists will give you the links to all of these videos. This was the teachings we studied last week. So today we're going to be talking about just a moment. So that is an invitation to reflection by the Spirit Andrea Louise through the mediumship of Francisco Candido Xavier. Here we have just a moment. We're going to use the technology we have and make it a little larger font so we can go and read together. Let me see, a little too big. I'm gonna go one paragraph at a time, right? We need to savor each and every message the spirits give us. He says, before denying yourself to the appeals of charity, meditate for a moment on the afflictions of others. So before we go out there to feed the homeless, to volunteer in an orphanage, to give money to those who are begging on the streets, to donate your time to caring for abused animals, whatever your cause is. There's 8 billion of us almost in the earth. There's space and time for all of us to pursue charitable work. It says, before that, doing that, meditate on the afflictions of others. So before we go, we think about how would those people feel, what kinds of circumstances they may find themselves in. He says, imagine yourself in the place of those who suffer. Observe the brothers or sisters relegated to the suffering of the streets, those who are homeless brothers and sisters, and suppose yourself constrained to similar situation. So you're going and donating your time to a charitable cause that feeds the homeless. It's something that we all like to do, right? There's a direct impact of our work can be seen and appreciated right away. Someone is in need, we go and give them something. Anjali is asking us to go one step above and meditate. How would we feel if we were in their place? It's an important thought experiment because perhaps in the past we were homeless in different lives. We don't know what tomorrow is going to have for us, but it's always good to imagine ourselves in the shoes of others so that we can think about how to treat them. How would you like to be addressed if you were homeless, and if you didn't have the opportunity to care for your hygiene and look your best and have all the things that you and I take for granted? So we would probably, if I have to make a guess right now, is we would like to be addressed with kindness, with compassion, without judgment. Therefore, that's how we go about doing the charitable work. It says, note the helpless infirm and consider that tomorrow it will probably be us, the candidates to the rescues on the public roads. So what if we tomorrow fall into difficult times? We would like people to remove themselves from their comfort and go and help us. Therefore, today, even though it's much more fun to spend all the weekend enjoying our time by ourselves and doing things for our family only, it's imperative that we think about those who are suffering and we go one step above and have joy while serving, because perhaps that could be us tomorrow. Examine the weary elder and reflect that if this carnation does not come soon, you will not escape old age. How many people are very condescending to the elderly, and in this society with less reverence for the elderly, we put them away, right? We put them in communities. Other people care for them, which is valid in such circumstances, and I'm not judging, I'm just making a statement. But one day we will be old, unless we discarnate before being incarnated or reincarnated in a physical body. Comes with this vicissitudes of the physical life, which is growing, aging. Your body will change. We'll not escape old age unless we discarnate soon. So he's saying, examine and reflect upon that when you see someone who is older than you are, right? Because we need to treat the elderly with respect. Contemplate the needy children. Remember our own children. If you have children, think about those who are in difficult circumstances. Maybe they did something that took them that way. However, it's because we live we live under the law of society. We need to fulfill the law of society. It's also our obligation to not just say, they suffer. It's part of the reincarnatory plan. I won't do anything about it. That's not what we are saying. We're saying no. When we see those who are in need, we remember our children. And it can be your own children, biological, adopted, stepchildren. It can be caring for nieces and nephews, grandchildren. If our children were suffering, we would like someone to reach out. It says, when an ambulance glides along with you, carrying the anonymous sick, ponder that perhaps an extremely dear relative of ours finds him or herself groaning inside of it. So when we see the ambulance, first of all, we stop and let the ambulance go first, right? Because if we were inside or a relative of ours was inside, we would like them to get to the hospital, aside from being a law that we yield to emergency vehicles. He's saying when the ambulance, you hear the ambulance, even if you don't see it, think about what if a relative of mine or even myself were in that ambulance. Right now, the invitation is put yourself in someone else's shoes. He says, patiently listen to the companions left in the shadow of great misfortune. And remember that in the near future, it is possible that we cross the same difficulties. What if we were undergoing some sort of hardship? We would like people to listen patiently. Therefore, we do the first step. We listen to them patiently, and we help to the extent they are interested in helping, in being helped. To the extent they invite us to speak into their hardship, we listen and we can mentally think about the mentors involved in them. We can pray for them, so on and so forth. It says, look at the multitude of the ignorant and weak, weary and unhappy, judging yourself amongst them, and mentalize. When you see those ignorant and weak, weary and unhappy, which all of us are in one of these categories at some point, it says, mentalize the gratitude you would feel in the face of the crumb of love that someone offered you. Okay? Again, when we go about our day and we understand it's aside from what he's going to say, we are going about our day together with almost 8 billion people on this planet. Okay? It's going to be 8 billion soon. Plus our mentors, plus our spiritual friends, plus all of those who live in the colonies linked to the earth. This is one planet where we are all undergoing the planetary transition, meaning we're going from a world of trials and expiations to a world of regeneration. So there's a lot of different things that we can look at and imagine ourselves into, not to depress ourselves, not to feel paralyzed, but to feel empowered. If I were in that situation, I would love for someone to extend the crumb of love. That can be listening, talking to, prayer, reaching out, treating them with respect. But it should also be we deny ourselves more, having more things, and then we set aside some of that physical aid and give it to others as well. It's important to balance this relationship and give to them as much as we would love to receive if we were in their circumstances. None of us is a superior spirit on the earth, right? All of us are learning. We have good qualities and not so good qualities. Let's go to the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 3. It talks about the multitude of worlds. If you read the description of different worlds, you're going to see the majority of us is still in need of improvement, because evil is still prevalent on the earth. But the earth is progressing, so we're going to one day be a celestial, divine world. But for now, we go to question or item 100 of the Spirit's book, where we have the hierarchy of spirits. So we can find ourselves in those categories We can plan and see the things we still have to work on. So that's an empowering feeling. When we go about our day and imagining ourselves in the shoes of others, that allows us, and we don't have to be homeless to visualize and mentalize what they're going through, because your brain, we can do that thought experiment, but then that will trigger in you the need, the call to action. Because remember, the title is just a moment. It says, think about all of this for a moment. All of the suffering we see, how people are, how we would feel in their situation. And you will recognize that charity for all of us is a simple obligation. We must fulfill the law of love and charity, right? Charity is an obligation. We came to this earth to help one another. And when we help one another, when we deny of ourselves, when we remove some of the conveniences we have, we stop spending our time just with our own things, we go out and reach out to others, and we improve, we grow. The self-improvement is not only just I get more, I get a bigger house, I get more degrees and a great job, and I don't care for others. No, the law of society says I use my talents to help you, you use your talents to help me. And these are the words of Andrea Luiz. So if we were to spend a moment, just a moment, reflecting upon all we talked about, the different circumstances and things we see around us and the suffering that others go, we would see it. It's just an obligation to go out there, to reach out, to get out of our comfort zone and go help others. So that's the call of help. And remember, this, and in combination with what Euripedes Barsanulfo told us last week, when we sow those seeds, those crumbs of love, as Andrea says, we will be, for each one of them we sow, we harvest 100, 104. We're always in this different exchange, this relationship with both friends. So when we help someone, we're making those spiritual alliances. We already discussed a different chapter, a different issue that is titled Spiritual Relationships. Check it out in the playlist of the Spiritist magazine. Dear friend, this book is not yet in English, but Vanessa Simone, who is also the editor-in-chief of the magazine, has created a morning prayer program with all of these teachings from this book. So you can check that out if you go to the YouTube channel. You can find, and if you don't, write to us, spiritistmagazine@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to guide you to where you can find the resources. That's it for today. Our call to charity and action is done. I hope this inspires you to spend a lot of time throughout this coming week helping others while helping yourself grow. And between now and the next time we meet, may you stay well, may you stay safe. God willing, I'll be back with you next week with another article from the Spiritist magazine. Have a blessed night.